Here, Justin Bernal tells us, I have a hard time sharing this narrative with my family. The question is always, where are all the Native American stories about these places? To which I really don't have a good answer. First of all, how many of us are talking to the Native Americans and listening to their stories? Where are all the stories? Well, here they are. Who wrote the Native American stories? Well, the white men. I mean, the ones you'll have access to. The ones you'll be told. You don't have access to the natives' version. And unfortunately today, most native people don't have access to their own story. And why is that? That's because the Native Americans were not treated so well. Native Americans were treated as a problem when founding this country. All throughout North America, they were rounded up, moved, displaced, and their children were taken from them and sent to white school to be educated or to forget. And those that remember would not dare speak, not wanting to continue the nightmare, not only for themselves, but for future generations. Wow, that was a pretty heavy place to start, John. I know. Let me lighten it up by saying, I don't know. I love you all. God bless, and welcome. So what about the past? What do we have? We have the Native Americans, and we have the founders founding the nation. And they're talking, and this is it. This is the sum of their explanations. And that's fine. That is what they say. That is his story. If you watched my last video, in California, LA, it was no different, but the natives were Mexicans. And all the photos that we looked at showed a city of tremendous beauty. Castles, domes, spires towering in all directions. City looks old and weathered from day one. And the West is supposed to be the newest America. Fresh. And we see anything but fresh. We see streets and sidewalks and landscaping and enough to accommodate 1 million people in the 1870s. Why aren't the Mexicans talking, one might ask? And the truth is a lot of people are talking, but until the advent of the internet, nobody could hear them. So real quick, let's talk about the petrified trees of Arizona. So the petrified forest is in northeast Arizona. Out in the most crude, dry clay and sand soil exists the remains of pretty big trees. And this is pretty important. Pretty amazing. This is only 80 miles from the Hopi Indian Reservation. I think it just sits within the Navajo Reservation. And these people, according to their story, say they've been here for at least 1,000 years, living in this, what some would call a wasteland. And one would accept that this was a wasteland, and has been for millions of years. Looks similar to where I live. But we have this one essential clue. These chunks of tree. What are these trees doing out here? And they're not like buried, they're just laying on top of all of this. How can it be? How can a tree turn to semi-precious stone? And that is what they are. A lot of agate, just gorgeous. Gorgeous, multicolored transitioning. Now if a tree just gets buried for millions of years, it should decompose. I mean, it should decompose enough to where even if something did survive, it should just be a blob, not have this perfect bark. And again, not just be laying on the surface like this. And some people have proposed that they even look cut, like somebody sawed them before they petrified. But I don't know. I don't know about that. I have a different theory. And what is my theory? Get on with it already. Quit beating around the bush. I think that's what makes a video more digestible than just having a conversation. Sometimes you get get really excited when you're having a conversation, and maybe you get to the point too quickly. And what is the point? How did these trees become like rainbow-esque precious stones? Why does something petrify, really, and not decompose? So what led me to this was something I saw on YouTube. It was this guy, you can see his channel here. Looks like he got over 2 million views for this video. And he says how to make rubies in a microwave. And I watched several videos of this nature. And they essentially start with some core elements. And here we can see this core element is green, like a little green powder. He puts it on this crucible or heat-resistant vessel, and then he throws it in the microwave. A cover is placed over the top, and you can see it happen in real time. This heat gathers at certain points, perhaps where the charge of the microwave landed, and in those hot spots, he pulls out small rubies. And you can see a little vial of precious stones. And again, similar to the petrified wood, we're told a ruby and a diamond are formed under immense pressure and heat in millions of years. And yet all of these people have discovered how to do this at home. High heat and the right elements, and you're creating your own semi-precious stones. And this is what I believe has happened out here. Absolute heat has cooked this area and all areas at one point, turning everything into structures that are completely unrecognizable as previously being structures. And these trees are almost unrecognizable if their bark wasn't intact or if they were simply buried. And so we're to believe that trees grew here millions of years ago and nothing has taken root other than these worthless shrubs for another million years? No, I don't buy that. This is a very strong evidence that is overlooked and dismissed, again with a million-year theory. Billions maybe, who knows what they might tell us. And kind of a nothing to see here, just kind of interesting, and move on. And this doesn't make any sense unless we had varying, unimaginable electrical heat discharges raining down on this area. And being that it was a tree, perhaps the tree was still alive and full of water and was able to repel this heat, but eventually it took hold. And bark is slightly flame resistant to a point, and these trees are telling a story. And the Native Americans tell a story that there was an absolute cataclysm and they were brought underground. This is their story. More specifically, this is the Hopi story, but many other tribes have similar ones. They were brought underground to avoid a great cataclysm. Their people were brought to a city underground by another people that they called the Ant people. We can speculate on what that means, but regardless, a different people. This is their story. Again, the family asks, what do the natives say at the beginning of this video? Well, Father, they tell us there was a great cataclysm before this era, and they were brought down underground by the Ant people, and there was a city underground, and they didn't like it, but eventually, after some time had passed, they were brought back up to the surface through a tube, and they were placed at the location where they reside today. And this is just one example. Couple their story with this evidence and the microwave examples that people have conducted all throughout this world for us to witness, and in this case to try to make sense using their research to understand what we see all around us. So now let's look at something else. Every week, I don't know what I'm going to share. I could struggle externally, but I've done enough of that in my life. At this point in my life, I would like things to arise naturally. More from within, less without, less struggle, more peace. Peace is always here. It's just sitting there. Hello. Oh, hello. Anytime you're willing to let go, just say it out loud. I let go. Allow yourself to relax. I welcome myself to relax. So this was shared with me by someone. Someone said, check out Fairmount Park in Philadelphia. And yeah, oh my god. Oh my god. And I'm not saying that in vain. I love the Lord. What is this? I mean, alright kids, let's go to the park. Where have you brought us? What is this park? What is this park? Come on. I should have played Where Are We? I should have zoomed in like this and said, where are we? I mean, I did think it was an accident at first. I really did. I said, what is this Roman Grecian coastline with blocked up archways in the water and these temples? Where are we? I mean, it still seems appropriate. What the hell is this? This is Philly. Old Philly. Now, I don't know. I never know. I don't know. I have learned more about our world, our realm. Doing this research, I have more of an appreciation for our world and what existed before the so-called Industrial Revolution. Fairmount Park is the largest municipal park in Philly. A total of 2,000 acres. Like I said in a past video, I don't think this is some kind gesture. The park give the people 2,000 acres. No, they don't give us anything. I mean, I think we're provided for, but not by them. 2,000 acres. History. The South Garden in 1867. Oh, even earlier. Lemon Hill and Sagelli Hill were added in 1855 to 1856. After the American Civil War, work progressed to lay out the west side of the park. So here we can see the Philadelphia Museum, and it was originally a World's Fair building. And here she is today. Really beautiful and old. And here she is at night. And again, I must stress that the old classical architecture found all throughout North America is the absolute prize or prizes of the nation. The most cherished buildings, unused, usually museums, or repurposed into something else. And really not showing us anything, as usual, that might raise an eyebrow. A few buildings, but nothing like this. And this is what most people aren't looking at, the artificial coastlines. And we look at them from above on this channel all the time. All the world's coastlines are artificial, in my opinion, in various states of condition. But this is next level. This is absolute early America. And this is what we get. The early settlers with their wigs and tights were building buildings on the water. We're a young nation. We're a 200-year-old nation. This is old Rome right here in Philly. So here's the Smith Memorial at Fairmount Park, of course, same time period. And this was a park. Again, through this research, what I've seen is parks and golf courses are sites of leftovers from the old world that were so impressive that they had to be demolished. And all parks are just sprinkled with essentially the landscaping around the glorious buildings that were demolished. So thank you for this share. Fairmount Park, Philadelphia. If you're in the area, do check it out. And make sure to check out the edge of the water. I think we have a lot of clues here. Okay, so next we have Fort Dumont, and this was another share. I thank you. Fort Dumont is in France. Construction started in 1885 near the village of Dumont. Mont would be like mountain, or mount as we would say. Some of the highest ground in the area. This was an 1800s fort. A long history, the Germans, the French. Here we can see some ruins of the fort. The hell happened here? Looking at some structures popping out of mounds. Here is the entrance to the fort. So they built it with brick and then covered it with melted molten material. This is great. This is just how I would build something in the late 1800s. I would like somebody to actually explain how this happens. If not for a great heat-inducing cataclysmic event. Really, really fascinating hitting find and thank you. Now again, I just want to show you what it looks like from the air. And more importantly, what it looks like from the air then and now. Then and now. Totally bombed out, bombed to hell, but we know what this is. This is a star fort and is not French and has nothing to do with what they're telling us it does. Next. St. Louis, Missouri. Factory, Budweiser. Now, I made a whole video on breweries, including this one, what seems like years ago now, but I thought it was appropriate to revisit. Now, this isn't just some factory built like a Walmart. This is a castle. Here we have a stamp at the top of 1892. This is essentially a sign. A sign that says 1892. As usual, the sign does not match the beauty of every other detail we can see in this picture. This, in my opinion, was never originally meant to be a factory. And we've seen schools like this. We've seen insane asylums like this. It's not unusual. What is unusual is to call this a factory. Next, this is a bridge. A bridge in Cleveland, Ohio. I always like to go straight to the pictures because they speak so much more truth than the story. Again, I should have played Where Are We? Where are we? The never-ending story? Must we have a pure heart to pass through this section? Look at these kingly Grecian gods. I don't know. I have never seen these before. Pretty damn awesome. I mean, at some point in our learned history, come across the statues of North America, the statues of antiquity, the statues that our pioneers were carving, as we would be told. These are clearly cast concrete, but having a very old world style, having an absolutely non-American feel. Now, I did read the story, and they were altered. I believe they added these cars and maybe some inscribing. It definitely does look a little bit altered in this region. Even missing a piece of a finger? I'm not sure. But again, this might just be very unusual if one didn't do this research, if one hadn't looked at other works of art that resemble this, that seem to be made by the same maker or hand or people. This doesn't look like Cleveland. Seems like a waste of money in an early time period. Like I said, I read this. They begin planning in 1921 for this. The bridge is completed in 1932 at a cost of $4.7 million. In 1932. Here we go. Why? Why the frivolosity in this era? And why not today? Why doesn't every bridge have something better than this today? Why have we abandoned this practice? So let me show you what this bridge looks like. It has a very interesting story. I'm going to keep it short because I want to show you some others. But this is a double-decker bridge, and here you can see the other road. They said they built this for commercial vehicles but never used it. So we have a whole unused road. Really cool. And these statues are called officially the Guardians of Traffic. And here's a better look at those guardians. You have them on both sides, and you can see the unused portion. And I believe they turned it into a pedestrian bridge now. So cars are on the top and you can actually walk under here. But again, I was really interested in these statues and what they reminded me of. And let me show you that now. So this is a place that I've also shared in a past video. This is one of the weirdest shares in the nation of Georgia. And one thing that I've learned is every time I go back and revisit a subject, the entry has completely changed. My video on the Chronicles of Georgia was actually pretty funny. It involved this man, Zurab, and they're not showing us his picture now. And we can't even click on his name to see his picture. Before Georgia It was the Russian Empire in 1801 and later annexed by the Soviet Union in 1921. And so this, as I joked in that past video, is in short Soviet communist art. And not just any art, but religious art. And here we can have a quick look. I'll try to flash some other pictures. But it's absolutely imposing and as bold as this Hope Memorial. To me, it just has the same feeling to it, like the same people. And in this case, one is created by communist government, which just doesn't make any sense. Some religious, artistic, communist memorial. And it's huge. This thing is just absolutely huge. A person is like a speck. And I want to show you one more place that this reminds me of. And we'll look at that next. So, in a past video, I will have discussed the monument to the Battle of the Nations in Leipzig, Germany. Okay, it looks like a big building, but when we look closer at the details on this building, this is what we get. I mean, looking like something out of Lord of the Rings. Just unbelievable. All these structures built in the same era and having this same imposing, heavy feel. And it wasn't until I saw this Hope Bridge Memorial that it all kind of came together for me. I mean, everything. When you look at this, you're going to see the same feel as the Statue of Liberty or Mount Rushmore. All the people don't look American. The people themselves look Roman, whether in the nation of Georgia or in this case, Germany. And this story was just ridiculous. I mean, when you look at the scale of this memorial, the memorial is really a big undertaking of labor and finances. And is it really just a memorial? Was it really built when we were told? So I feel like I've gone long today. I'm going to end it here. I hope you've all enjoyed. I love you all. God bless, and I'll see you next week.